What's going on, guys, and welcome to GLUCOSEZONE Live, Diabetes Talk. My name is Justin, and before we get started, I do want to give a huge shout out to Veronica and Janet, who are joining us in the app.
Woo! And I'm Lauren, and we're going to be talking tonight about the fitness industry and the missing gaps in it. So we actually are both exercise science majors, and we actually saw that there was a huge problem in the fact that our education had really not a whole lot to do with diabetes. And with us being here, Justin has diabetes. I don't have diabetes, but I've come to love what I do and who I work with. And it's definitely a big problem. And so I don't know, Justin, if you want to get started as far as your schooling and what kind of you saw.
Oh, yeah. I mean, first of all, right now I'm very excited to be here. And I think that, thank you for having me back, by the way. I hope there was a couple people that joined us for the Why Me. And I want to say hi to Jeanette in YouTube as well. So kind of going off what Lauren said, training people, you know, going to school as an exercise scientist, there's a lot of different topics that are very frustrating that we discuss throughout, you know, a semester, depending on the different topic or subject. And I think that diabetes was one of the topics that was really left out. And it's really unfortunate because, unfortunately, diabetes is such a large epidemic that right now it's very, it's very difficult and challenging when put in a position that you can't, you know, you really, unlike myself, being diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, of course I know a decent amount because it's a lifestyle. However, being in school and not getting that necessary knowledge is really unfortunate. I also want to give a quick shout out to Donnie Ray. What's up, Donnie Ray? We see you in the app all the time, and we're really happy to have you here. So I'll pass that back on to Lauren to talk a little bit about her school experience.
Yeah, so I have a bachelor's, so I had a bachelor's in athletic training and biology, which really had not a lot to do with the exercise science piece, and really in my master's, which you would think a master's program would have as much information as you can, especially when you're learning to work with people with chronic diseases. So my master's program had a lot to do with cardiovascular disease and really working with people who had heart conditions and a heart attack. But there was probably about this much, like Justin was saying, about diabetes. And so, and you're really not given the full picture of what it's like. And like I said, I don't have diabetes, but coming to work here, I mean, I've worked with so many different clients who have really just, we put the puzzle pieces together and we've really figured out what works for them, and they don't get that in a lot of places. And I'm sure all you guys who are watching can relate that GLUCOSEZONE has really changed how exercise should be managed when it comes to diabetes. And a lot of people, I mean, Charlie says it every single day, that a lot of doctors, everyone says go out and get some exercise, but you don't know what to do. And yeah, you have those trainers who, there are some good ones in the fitness industry that will work with you and try to work modifications and look at your blood sugar, but they don't have training on it, and they don't know that certain exercises can increase and certain exercises can decrease. And really what I'm starting to see now, because we actually are working with a local hospital system in training one of their RNs, an exercise physiologist, who actually was in their cardiac rehab program, and we're training her to work with the diabetes population. And she is so used to giving her patients that were in the cardiac rehab program tons of crackers and juice and peanut butter, and all of these patients come into cardiac rehab and they want to get better, and their blood sugar just plummets, and then they're just stuffed with food. And that's the last thing that you guys want to do. And I'm sure Justin can relate. It's so hard to exercise when you're just constantly putting calories in. So that's what was a big thing for me when I came here and realized that we can use exercise not only to increase your insulin sensitivity, but we can also change the way you exercise by giving you pointers, making sure that you don't necessarily have to take that juice, that we can try to use exercise to make a change and change your blood sugar naturally. That's like the biggest thing, and I'm sure you probably loved it when you came in and talked to Charlie that first time, and like it's like the
Oh, yeah, it was a complete, you know, for being diagnosed at the time I came into GLUCOSEZONE, I had diabetes for about 13 years, and I think that I was just completely blown away. I sat down with Charlie, we kind of discuss just overall how exercise can affect diabetes. And I had very negative experiences with exercise and with diabetes, especially when I was younger. Coaches, other classmates, they just really didn't understand the disease to like 100%, and it was really challenging in terms of practices, waking up early, the different type of exercise, whatever the event was. I would have serious fluctuations in my blood sugar, and the lack of knowledge coming from whether it was like the athletic directors or the personal trainers, whoever it may be that was involved in that sport particularly, made it very challenging and a little bit like demotivating for myself to continue with that sport. But I think that it's really important moving forward that, prior to people finding GLUCOSEZONE, that, go out on your own, do some research, just understand what diabetes is as a whole and how it affects you. It's really important to monitor your blood sugars throughout the day and stay on the right track, because we have to be our own personal advocate. We have to, fight for ourselves 365 days a year. And it's really important to just monitor your blood sugars and your diabetes and understand the knowledge behind it.
And one thing that we're trying to do as trainers here in the GLUCOSEZONE, and also just as a company, is we want to make sure that we're not trying to bash the fitness industry in any single way.
Definitely
We're
not.
trying to help it. And we're trying, like I said, there are missing gaps, and there's always going to be missing gaps in care, but if we can together kind of make the steps, and that's why we would love to train as many fitness professionals as we can to make sure that they have the tools, because obviously, as you guys know, there's so many people with diabetes and so many people who have these problems. So if we can empower all these people to help people, and whether they have diabetes or not, like I said, I don't have diabetes, Justin does, and we have two different perspectives, but we also, when it comes to training, and I'm sure we have different training methods, but in the same breath, we know what works for our clients, and we get to know our clients on a one-on-one basis in our private gym here. And we really take our education and take our experience and apply it when we're working with those clients. So I know some people ask me, how can I help someone with diabetes if I don't have it? And really, one special part about my job is that I work with 4 amazing type 1 people, or people with type 1 diabetes. And they help me understand on an everyday basis, and I'm sure I can't obviously understand the full impact, but I can see how frustrating it is, and I just try to put myself in their shoes as far as what can I do to help you and make you feel better, and if I can try to get those frustrations out, then I will. And that's one thing that I love about my job, that I can kind of have the light at the end of the tunnel for my clients. And I've had a bunch of success stories, and one person just said that I'm helping her so much, and she's really just figuring out, and that's part of our job, is just like everything is so individualized. And so if we can just put the puzzle pieces together by taking the basic knowledge that we have and then putting the diabetes together, we're training your diabetes, but we're training you also. So that's where I try to take my personality of just wanting to help people, and then just my education behind it, and I just try to apply it every single day, and I try to understand and put myself in their shoes, and it fills my heart when I can just help someone at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's a very rewarding job, and I'm sure Lauren and I both agree we're very blessed to be in this position. Coming from going to school studying exercise science and then finding something so unique to the diabetes population, we were very lucky to go through the different steps and learn how to become a GLUCOSEZONE trainer and work with the diabetic population. And I think that it's so important to understand. Myself personally, I know certain aspects of how living with diabetes can be so challenging, and I think just Lauren being surrounded with coworkers and clients all essentially going through the same thing, it really allows us to better ourselves and do a better job when helping them and reaching out to people like you sitting at home watching us, following along with the workouts. It's really motivational for us that we know you're here and you're joining us. So I think that it's really important to know that, and moving forward, please don't hesitate to reach out to us or digital coaches. you know, whatever it may be, download the GlucoseZone app, come join us every Monday through Friday, 10 a.m., have access to the digital coaches, and really talk to us about what's going on with your diabetes, because we'd love to help. And I think that there's a little bit of misguidance in that specific area. So I think that it's really important to help you help yourself. And I just think I come in, I always say it, but I really do wish I was able to find something like GlucoseZone when I was first diagnosed, because exercising as I got older and transitioned into different sports, it was challenging at times, and it's really important to understand, I guess, the knowledge behind it and how to handle those blood sugars, especially when participating in a workout, depending on your time of day, your heart rate, what your blood sugar is based on that real-time check. And I think that's so important. And Lauren and I were, you know, blessed to understand and go through the curves and ride the wave and really understand how to work with people living with diabetes. And I think that it's really important to utilize us in the entire GlucoseZone team in bettering yourself and really achieving your diabetes goals.
And one thing that is good news for kind of our company and for everyone as a whole is that healthcare is making changes. And one of the changes, the whole thought of healthcare is that it should be a team effort. So that's why we're saying we're in no way trying to bash the fitness industry, because there are, like I said, a lot of trainers who can help. But one of our missions here, like I said, is to kind of, I mean, if you have a trainer that you're working with, like, please let them know, like, the important thing is that you let them know what's going on here. So,
let them know you have diabetes.
Well, that's true.
I mean, and believe it or not, it sounds very silly to say, but I've had a couple of clients that have worked with personal trainers, and like I said, and Lauren said, we're not here to bash any fitness professionals, but they would be going through a workout routine with their client and have no idea. They would say, I feel like a little off, or my blood sugar is low, and the client would say, you didn't tell me you had diabetes, you know. So when having diabetes, I think it's so important to let that be known, and if you are working with a personal trainer, voice that to them just so they know and they're aware of the different consequences that could happen if your blood sugar goes too low, how your exercise or how your different exercises could affect your blood sugar, and vice versa.
Yeah, don't ever be ashamed to tell someone you have diabetes. And I'm sure, I mean, Justin can probably talk more on that, just not hiding it. Because there's, I mean, if you're exercising and working with a personal trainer, like, you're making the right steps and you're doing what you need to do in order to make your life better and feel better. So don't hide the fact that you have it, because it's only going to almost make things worse. And so if your trainer can know, and if you get the tools from us of, okay, well, like I had someone who was a young woman with type 1, and she saw me and she saw a trainer, and she would see me once a week, and then she would see her trainer 3 times a week. And so in that once a week session, she would learn the tools of what we were doing. She had a pump, so we would figure out what setting worked best for her. And from there, she would go tell her trainer exactly, oh, well, maybe this works, and let's try this and this. And she actually had a really great trainer that was there with her, and they would check her blood sugar. That's another thing. Make sure you're checking. I had a client the other day who worked out with me, and then she went to the gym, and I was like, are you going to check your blood sugar? She's like, no, I'm okay. We want you to check your blood sugar. And I know that's another thing that we talk about. Obviously, gyms may not be the best place, or it's not the most friendliest place to check blood sugar, but we can't stress it enough, because it can tell you such a map, and like I said, putting the puzzle pieces together. You want to make sure you're safe, because if you're not safe, you won't want to do it probably the next time. So and notice a lot, we're saying check, right, not test. It's not a test. It's not pass or fail. It's just to gauge where you are. And that's really, I try to say check all the time to my clients, because it's so important that they know that it's a judgment-free zone. And sometimes people laugh when we say that, but it really is. And I mean, we had someone say before that she feels like it's a family here. It is, and we try to bring that in, whether you're seeing us virtually or if you're coming in person. We really have a family here, and we're a family as coworkers. We're a family just all together. And if we could solve diabetes in a day, we would, which we're on the
Slowly
mission.
but surely. I do just want to give a big shout out to Claudette. She did say that she was ashamed when she initially got diagnosed with diabetes, and prior to her being diagnosed, when she was younger, she just kind of thought, that's not going to happen to me. A little bit of the older population that she was surrounded with got diagnosed, and I think that I want to just relate really quick on a personal level to Claudette that when I was 8 years old, I was diagnosed, and I think that, you see, your mind is like completely running wild when you're 8 years old, but I do remember feeling a little bit ashamed and just, I guess, down on myself in general when I had to go to lunch, and when all my friends were going to lunch, I had to go to the nurse's office and check my blood sugar. And I think that as I got older, I grew into my own skin, and I think it's really important that obviously you take your diagnosis with time, and a lot of people look at it as like a reality check, but I think that we have to look at it as almost the exact opposite, is that Charlie said it a million times, I've said it a million times, Lauren said it a million times behind the camera, that people living with diabetes are often mislabeled as people that are lazy or just they don't want to do anything or put the work in, but it's actually the exact opposite in terms of people living with diabetes are actually so busy taking care of other people that they don't have enough time to take care of themselves. And I think that, Claudette, I'm really happy you were able to find us and get in the GlucoSezone with us. I definitely recognize your name behind the screen, being a digital coach, and I think that it's so important that, you stand up and fight the fight every day. Like Lauren said, it's not a test, so if you check your blood sugar and you're not happy with the result, tomorrow's a brand new day, and we got to start fresh every day, especially with diabetes, something that can fluctuate so much. Jeanette?
Jeanette, you got a big one.
She goes, I get people who don't believe when I tell them I'm a type 2 diabetic since I don't take meds or insulin, and it's not because I don't want to take anything, it's just me struggling to keep it under control so far through exercising and dieting. And I think that's a great point, Jeanette, because more times than not, when you go to the doctor's office and you are diagnosed with diabetes, it's very common for them to just prescribe you medication, and I don't think that's always the case. And people that are willing to put in the time and effort to diet, exercise, follow along with the proper exercise program can completely reduce and reverse their diabetes, especially in terms of type 2. For people living with type 1 like myself, I've controlled my diabetes significantly better since I've started the GlucoSezone program, since I've been an employee of GlucoSezone. I just think it's a matter of being aware of what's happening with you on your diabetes journey and knowing the right tools and steps to take when you have an off day or you just don't feel 100%. And you just, like I said before, you just got to take it one day at a time.
And unfortunately, Jeanette, there are going to be some people who aren't educated on what type 2 diabetes is, who it affects, if it has to do with genetics, or if it has to do with lifestyle. Some people honestly don't know. And so I'm sorry that that's the case sometimes, but like Justin was saying, you're making the right steps. And one thing that's interesting to see is that people, sometimes doctors don't even empower their patients to. So I actually want to encourage anyone, obviously you guys are all here and you know about the GlucoSezone and because you want to exercise, but even tell your friends, like, that misconception is totally not true when that whole thing about people with diabetes are lazy. And it's honestly, sometimes you just have so many things going on. And I was talking to another client and she was saying that her husband might have to go back to work, which means she's going to have to watch her kids again every single day, and she may not be able to come see me anymore. And I said, please don't miss out on your you time. Like,
absolutely,
your time with me is your you time. And it's so big because she's one of those people actually who, she told her doctor, she was a A1C of 9.1, and she said, I'm not going on any meds. I'm going to do this with diet and exercise. And she found the GlucoSezone, actually, and she's one of the patients at actually a local hospital that we're working with, and she found the GlucoSezone through that hospital, and it's just changed her life. And she really, says that, and so now she actually went to a A1C of 6.1 after 8 weeks working with us. And so I just encourage all of you, like if you have busy lives, don't miss out on your U time. Try to get it in whenever you can. I said in my, if you were with my exercise session, just move whenever you can. I have another client who says when she travels, her blood sugars fluctuate and it's really hard for her because she's in the car and she doesn't know what to do. So I said just move your knees up and down, move your arms in the seat, anything you can do.
Just stay active.
Exactly.
You know?
Like it's just, it sounds so, maybe
Simple,
it sounds, yeah, it sounds
it
so
does.
simple, and then it also sounds like, oh, I'm gonna move in the like move in my car. Like, yeah, move in the car. Like, it's so simple to do, and it can help so much. Like, it sounds like it won't help, but it really does. Like, and I'm sure like you can probably relate too.
And Kevon actually had a really good question, which ties perfectly into this, and he asked, any advice on how to get back motivated when you haven't worked out in a long time? And I actually was just in this exact predicament, I guess you'd call it, a couple months ago. And I think that the most important thing is, I would recommend one of two things. Trying something totally different. So if you're sitting behind the camera, you know, you're watching GlucoSezone from home, but you've never got up and tried the exercises with us, I would definitely encourage you to start something new and come join us. And two, just putting something on your calendar goes a very long way. When I see something on my calendar, I'm very committed to make that appointment, whether it's just if I put literally gym for an hour, I know that this is the time that I should be going to the gym or train for an hour, go for a walk. You know, if just something is on your calendar, I think it's very important, and that serves as big motivation, as well as I would say using the people around you. I know a lot of people who don't like to go to the gym by themselves. Maybe they don't know what to do. And I would say just use the people around you, maybe get a gym partner, a gym buddy, somebody that could do the GlucoSezone program with you. You know, there's so many people out there living with diabetes that if you find a friend maybe at work, coworkers that want to go out on a walk during your lunch break, it's always important to just stay active, put something on your calendar, make it happen, wake up and be thankful it's a new day and just make the most of it.
And really, from my personal experience, I'm actually just recovering from a foot injury. So I was in a boot for about 2.5 months, which killed me. And my preference is to run. So I'm actually still not allowed to run. So from that standpoint, as far as now I need motivation to do an exercise that I don't like to do. So I had to choose different exercises like a bike. And biking is actually not one of my favorite things to do, and it's really hard, but
see, I like to bike because I don't like to run. But it's funny
I'm
how
the
that
weird
works.
person who
No,
loves
it's funny
to
how
trim.
that works, though.
I guess I'm weird. I like to run. So, but I can't run. I still can't run, and I just try to choose workouts. I'm actually the GlucoSezone is actually helping me get motivated because I'm getting more involved in the live stream. And so you guys are actually my motivation to keep going and be here every day, make workouts. And I mean, like Justin said, get some friends. I actually forced Justin to train me the other day with his client. I was like, I'm going to join.
But it was a good time.
It was a good
time. And she came in and said she was still, you know, my client, Lauren, I think, I don't want to speak for Lauren, but it seemed like they all use one another for motivation. It was definitely a challenging workout that was given to them, and they really crushed it. And prior to that, they were just feeding off of each other's energy and really just, I guess, vibing and motivating one another. And I think it's really important to just find somebody you can exercise with, whether that's us. I mean, we are here for you, regardless of what time of day or whatever it may be. We're here for you. Real quick, could you just scroll up really quick? I missed somebody's question. Oh, that's a good question.
Oh, okay.
Do you want to take that one? We could go back and forth on that one.
So Kate, that is a great question. What about isometric exercise while in the car? Anything, like I said, if you want to hold something here, but I would just move so you can have your hands out.
You could do arm circles,
yeah,
literally
you can do
anything.
Exactly. There are so many ways that you can be creative.
I do calf raises.
Yep, you could do calf raises.
Just try to push your feet to the ground and really flex those calves. It's really hard in the car because, especially like road trips, I always find myself suffering from high blood sugar, and it's very important to just you never want to just sit there and be inactive. And even if, let's say you're just going on a really long road trip, pull over, stretch. Every couple of hours, it's very important to get up and move around.
And then when you're not in the car, try to get up every 30 minutes. So if for example, throughout a work day, I mean, I actually have to remind myself, one time, me and Justin were actually having a push-up challenge.
Yeah.
We were getting up every hour.
Coworkers, you gotta motivate one another.
I'm getting my coworkers involved. I have our other coworker, Lorianne, who's in my office with me. She didn't like the push-up challenge, but we definitely worked that out. But do something, just stand up. Stand up for at least 3 minutes. So there's a saying that is floating around the exercise world: for every 30, give me 3. So every 30 minutes of sitting, give me 3 minutes of standing or doing something. And some recommendations you can do is, if someone walks into your office or even into your house and you're sitting, stand up and greet them, just to make an excuse to stand. So anything you can do. And we'll go back up to Mike.
Real quick. Mike had a nice little story here. Mike Riggs says, this may sound weird, but being diagnosed as a type 2 diabetic in my early 50s was a great thing health-wise for me. I turned 60 in a couple months and feel better than I did in my late 40s. Down 50 pounds and moving more than I ever have. Keep up the good work.
That is
wow,
awesome.
Mike, killing it. I'm really, it's stuff like that that really just motivates us to keep doing what we're doing, and I think that Kevon hit you with the round of applause in the chat. You definitely deserve a nice little round of applause for that one. That's really motivational, and I want to encourage you to just keep doing what you're doing, and that's really great to hear, and we appreciate you sharing your story. I understand that, and I mean, we both understand. We've seen people come in here first diagnosed with diabetes, and they just think it's so difficult, and they're kicking themselves, but in reality, look at it the complete opposite way. Look at it as a new start, a way to get motivated, and a way to thrive with your diabetes journey.
So the biggest thing we just want you to take away is just talk about your diabetes with your fitness professionals, give them tips that we're giving you here, and we want to work together as a team. That's our biggest thing, and we want to solve the missing gaps, but obviously we'll do it one step at a time, and we want you to flourish. Age is just a number. Mike, obviously you're a perfect example of that. So, like I said, if we can work together and put the puzzle pieces together, we will hopefully solve diabetes one day.
Absolutely.
So, thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you next time in the glucose.
Tune in. You got to tune in.
Oh, yes, that's true. We can't forget.
Guys, make sure to download the GlucoseZone app, because next week, Lauren and I and Charlie are all going to be going live for our 10 a.m. streams. Lauren's going to be Monday, Tuesday, Charlie on Wednesday, and myself on Thursday and Friday. And really just join us, motivate us. We need you as much as you need us, and it goes a long way. So, again, thank you guys so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Yep, see you next time.
All right, thank you.